So I finally got over my quarantine depression and decided to step outside and go watch the new Christopher Nolan movie, Tenet. And let's just say I've got quite a few things to say about it. Tenet is the newest Christopher Nolan movie and the first blockbuster film to come out since the beginning of the pandemic in March. The movie stars John David Washington, Robert Pattinson, Kenneth Branagh, and Elizabeth Debicki. John David Washington plays a secret agent who embarks in a dangerous and time-bending mission to prevent the start of World War III. These days, the question is always about whether a movie is good or bad. A movie is rarely allowed to be anything in between these days, or at least for most people. Well, if you're one of those people, you may have trouble with Tenet. And it's not just by its complex narrative. It's true that it gets really tricky, but I personally was able to follow everything just fine. What really got me thinking is what was written between the lines. This movie clearly has a lot of layers, so something that can easily be seen as a negative could be intentional. For example, the main character in this movie is named the protagonist. We never get anything else from it. Not only don't we get his real name, he doesn't really talk about his goals or what motivates him. Again, no spoilers, don't worry. But then somehow it feels intentional in so many ways. I can't really go into details to why I feel that way, but Nolan movies aren't exactly subtle when it comes to its main characters. Except maybe for Memento, each of his films have had characters with clear motivations and goals and well-defined arcs. The protagonist is Nolan's most passive protagonist. It could also be seen as Nolan's less interesting character because there isn't much to his character. If he had a name, I would probably not even remember it by the end of the movie. But then, isn't that the reason why Nolan didn't even bother to give him one? The clear and true protagonist of this movie is Elizabeth Debicki's character, Kat. The only character in the film with a true arc and a much more interesting story that goes beyond the time-bending action sequences. You would think that the first Nolan movie featuring a black character in the lead role would have him be more than a tool that served the story of another white character, but here we are. At least the woman character was treated better in this one. It's okay, Nolan, you're getting there. Robert Pattinson plays a character named Niall, and while it's only a supporting role, I thought this character had a lot of presence. He never faded into the background. Robert Pattinson has always been a great actor, and between this and The Batman, I think people who only judge him based on the Twilight movies will soon change their minds. It's not a mind-blowing performance or anything, but with what he's given to work with, it would have been easy to get lost in the midst of the action, and he never did. It was a very good performance. Actually, everyone is quite good in this movie. Even John David Washington showcases an incredible amount of charisma. He showed that he can carry a movie this big, even though, like I said, his character is given nothing to work with. The most surprising performance though has to be Kenneth Branagh as the main villain. His motivations towards the end may raise a few eyebrows, but I personally bought it. And the entire movie revolves around him and Elizabeth Debicki's character. If these two characters work for you, so will the movie. If they don't, then you are probably going to get bored real quick, just as I was within the first half of the movie, because again, our main protagonist named Protagonist is not at all interesting. And I feel bad for John David Washington. I cannot stress this enough, because he gives a solid performance with what is given. Something else that totally carries this movie is the action sequences. A lot has been said about this movie's use of practical effects. Like, these lunatics actually crashed a real plane onto a building for a scene. And seeing how important that scene is to the movie, I'm really glad they did. The action feels so tangible that it elevates the tension even more. There's a lot of action, but not the kind that feels excessive. In a movie where the characters manipulate time, it's hard to imagine action sequences being grounded, but Nolan put all the focus on the concept of time manipulation and had the action support his ideas rather than having a lot of spectacle with not much substance. Tenet is a movie that will leave you scratching your head and questioning your entire understanding of movies. I know a lot could see it as a movie where Nolan puts more emphasis on the concept he explores without bothering to give the audience a reason to care. But on the other hand, this is a movie that is more concerned in exploring the responsibility and consequences that come with excessive power, such as time manipulation. It doesn't always work, but like I said, this is a movie I want to revisit and study because there is so much more that Nolan is trying to say with this movie. But for now, I will give Tenet a 6.5 out of 10. This score is probably bound to change after a rewatch, we'll see. One last thing I would like to say is, this is a movie made for movie theaters, and I don't know how bad the pandemic is where you live, but if you can, this is definitely worth a trip to the multiplex. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.